So this was a situation that I have not covered much on my channel, if at all, because I didn't have that many details, and every time I went to go maybe look into it, I would rather have done something else. But I'm going to finally talk about Jonathan Price, because there's been some new rounds of information that have come out. And if you don't know, Jonathan Price was shot and killed by apparently a 22-year-old police officer who, when he was a teenager, was supportive of Republicans, like very against Black Lives Matter, posted very racist things, right? And then they became a cop under the Trump administration, and then they shot and killed people. And so that seems to be the situation here, again, if I've got my details correct. So I'm just going to read to you this article from the Atlanta Black Star. Jonathan Price is the latest black man to become a hashtag after being killed by a police officer. Now, details have emerged that reveal Price, 31, tried to shake Wolfe County police officer Sean Lucas's hand before he was gunned down by him. An affidavit by Texas Rangers obtained by CBS Dallas Fort Worth says Lucas was greeted by a male subject, later identified as Jonathan Dwayne Price. Price came very close to the officer and asking him, "You doing good?" multiple times while extending his hand in a handshake gesture. Now, this is one thing I want to say, and this is something that needs to be underscored. To all the people that are posting Blue Lives Matter, right? All these people, I love cops. Trump 2020, US. I hope to God that they see that. Like, I hope to God that there is someone sending those comments to your local police department, and I hope they all memorize your face. Because guess what, motherfucker? If you like cops, cops don't care. They don't know what you're posting on Twitter. They don't know what you're posting on Facebook. They will still beat the shit out of you because they don't care. Right? They just don't give a fuck. And if they do know, right? If they do know, maybe they'll treat you a little better, right? Look at the Proud Boys. Look at Patriot Front. Look at Patriot Prayer. Look at Boogaloo Boys. Look at all these fucking neo-Nazi organizations that are running through the streets, working with law enforcement. Look at the Kenosha shooter, Kyle Rittenhouse, coordinating with law enforcement, right? If they know who you are and they know that you love them, maybe they'll help you. But if you're just on your Facebook page, man, my brother-in-law's cousin's sister's nephew was a cop, and they're a pretty good guy. I had to talk to him 3 times at a Christmas party. They don't care. They don't give a fuck, okay? And this is a situation, and I hate to be that kind of person to jump on this kind of story of someone dying, right? But this needs to be a lesson that is learned. You don't treat cops with that kind of respect. You don't treat cops like they're normal people, because they're not. They are an occupying terror force. That's what they are. And that needs to be understood by everybody. Everybody. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, right? Like, man, woman, non-binary especially, right? Queer. You need to know that cops are not your friend. I don't give a fuck if you're rich. I don't give a fuck. Like, the cops are not your friend. Straight up. They're just not. According to statements from witnesses, Price was trying to defend a woman involved in a domestic dispute at a convenience store in Wolf City, Texas. Sometime after 8 p.m. on Saturday, October 3rd, police were called to the scene. And when Lucas arrived, Price tried to explain the situation. Still, Lucas tried to detain Price. The affidavit said Price walked away and said, "I can't be detained," which prompted the 6'1", 240-pound Lucas to first tase him. Then, after Price turned around and began walking toward Lucas, shoot him 4 times, hitting him in the upper torso. Price later died at a nearby hospital. The actions of Officer Lucas were not objectionably, I'm so sorry. I'm having a little bit of like a haven't eaten breakfast, coffee-induced kind of like, I'm in that state of mind. Objectionably reasonable. Investigators determined adding Lucas intentionally and knowingly caused the death of Price, right? But, right, Past social media posts from Price taking up for the police, in which he described never experiencing mistreatment at the hands of cops, were shared widely in the days since his slaying. In a Facebook post dated June 15th, Price wrote, "I've passed the sobriety test after leaving a bar in Wiley, Texas by two white cops and still let me drive where I was headed. And by the way, they consider Wiley, Texas to be very racist. I've never got that kind of energy from the popo. Not saying black lives don't matter, but don't forget about your own or your experiences through growth and waking up." Price also said protesters were increasing the chances of black people getting pulled over by police due to an idiotic stunt and aggressive rioting. Again, you coming out against poor people and workers, right? That gives you nothing. That doesn't make the cops your friend, right? That you think that you develop a parasocial relationship with police. You think that they're your friends. They're not your friends, dude. And sincerely, please don't act like they are. Many called out what they saw as the irony that Price's views didn't serve him well in his encounter with Lucas. Some even said his affability toward police ultimately cost him his life. You won't survive white supremacy by uplifting your oppressor or their ideas. He may not have learned it, but maybe others will learn by this incident, one user wrote, and I agree with that. But again, the idea that police officers who are very young and have a history of right-wing beliefs and anti-black sentiments can become police officers, have a gun, and are given the authority to shoot and kill people is ridiculous. To me, it is ridiculous. To me, and again, and I don't want to utilize this story to promote my political agenda, because I don't. But at the same time, you need to know that this is a class war. Police are serving the rich, okay? So if you make under $500,000 a year, the cops don't give a fuck about you. And if you make over $500,000 a year, depending on other things like your race, right, your fucking eye color, right, your fucking hair, right, depending on your fucking gender, cops might still not care about you, right? So the idea that there is going to be people out there that are simping for cops, right, while being poor and knowing poor people and coming from poor families is ridiculous to me. When I see people in my family talk about how my sister's cousin's nephew's boyfriend's dog was a police officer, it's like, I don't give a fuck. They're garbage. And maybe they personally aren't a terrible person, but they're upholding a terrible system. And at least when they put on the uniform, they are enacting as terrible people. Does that mean they're irredeemable? No. Does that mean they're not rehabilitative? They're not rehabilitatable? I'm so sorry. I don't know what that word is. No, it's not. But it means that they're not your friends. They're wolves in sheep's clothing if they want you to think otherwise, okay? And I would argue that they're a wolf in wolf's clothing, but these motherfuckers who say my best friend's cousin's sister's daughter-in-law is a cop, right? They need to shut the fuck up, because that's how they get you, right? That's how they get you. Cops are not your friend. Always treat cops with skepticism. Don't try to shoot them down. Don't try to run away from them, but treat them with skepticism. Be careful. Be cautious when dealing with police. Don't pretend that they're your friends, because they don't see you as friends, right? They see you as an enemy at all times. And that is why people are getting shot. That is why people are being killed. That is why people are being injured by police every single day. And I just, again, I wanted to hop on this story and, of course, thoughts, prayers, anything that I could potentially give to the family, which I can't outside of that. But this needs to be something that people need to know, is that cops are not your friend. I don't care if you drove home drunk from a bar and a cop let you off that one time. I don't care. That doesn't do anything to me. But again, rest in peace, Jonathan Price, for sure. This is not a situation that should occur in any capacity, but it's what we're dealing with when we have a terror cell that has some sort of state-sanctioned authority to kill anyone. And it doesn't matter if Lucas gets sent to prison, because Jonathan Price is still dead. So, at the end of the day, that's what happens.